The idea here, when I do these, record these, normally what I do is I introduce the guest, but in this case, I kind of feel like I'm the guest because it sort of ended up getting turned around, and Stefan brought me on. My name's James, and I do publicdomainsuperheroes.com, and I create a public domain superheroes universe. And what I usually do is introduce the person I'm going to interview and ask them about their projects, what they're writing, what they're creating, what's going on with them, and then we talk about that for a while. But I guess we're kind of flipping it around a little bit.
Well, you can do this however you want. You can do it your way if you want. If it puts you back in your comfort zone. I kind of threw you off with saying we should.
Oh, big time. I'm so not where I normally am when I start one of these, because I normally am the one saying, okay, let's get everything ready and get your cup of coffee and all, and then we'll start. And this is a little bit different for me doing it live. So okay, Stefan, you have been on. How long have you been on Substack? First of all, because you've got a whole ton of subscribers. I'm still down in the hundreds, and you're cracking 1,000. So
I haven't hit 1,000 yet. This is my 70th day. I've been on Substack since January 19th.
Okay. Now,
hi, Elias.
What is it that you do? Like, what do you actually on Substack to promote? Like, what's your main thing?
I started Substack to primarily just to store writing. I didn't expect to get a following.
Okay.
And then on like my third day, I noticed I had like 80 subscribers, and then things just kind of went from there.
Wow, that's impressive. Actually.
And now I might have cracked 700 subscribers today. I haven't checked.
Well done, and you have a birthday coming up, as I understand.
Day after tomorrow, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to wear a birthday hat on a live maybe.
Very good, very good. So okay, so you started to store your writing. I have a similar backstory. I started Substack because I needed a decent newsletter forum. That was I was having a hell of a time getting a reasonable app that did newsletters that wasn't complicated, or in one case, I actually tried to send out a newsletter and they held it for 3 days in approval. And I'm sitting there waiting to send my monthly newsletter, and they're telling me, oh, it's in approval. We'll let you know. And I'm like, no, this is what I'm here to do. You're not here to wait for you to tell me I can do it. So I left and I found Substack, started Substack, moved all my followers over here, and started sending out my newsletter. And that was sort of all I planned to do with it. And 3 days later, they approved it, by the way. I was already on Substack for 3 days, and I'd already sent out the newsletter. And that one newsletter service that I joined actually 3 days later sent me a thing saying, oh, you can go ahead and send that now. And I'm like, no, thanks. I'm good. I'm on Substack. I'm not coming back. So what kind of writing is it that you have stored on here? What kind of writing did you start with? Or has that changed in 70 days? Have you started doing different stuff? Or is there an influence there? What's the story?
This is PDSH newsletter for the people who just came in who don't know, and this is a link to his Substack if you want to check him out. I came on here with the intention of writing 300-word fiction stories from user prompts.
Oh, okay.
So people give me prompts ranging from the first sentence to a premise to a list of words, and then I create a 300-word short story out of it. That's now kind of only part of what I do.
Okay.
I find that poetry actually gets me way more subscribers.
No kidding.
Than the fiction was getting me. So I started mixing a little bit of poetry, and
wow.
I did some memoir stuff for some specials, but that led to awkward DMs. So I quit doing that.
My high school stuff would love Substack for that, because I wrote a heck of a lot of poetry in high school. Haven't written poetry probably in 30 years now, but in high school I was prolific. I thought I was going to be the poet laureate of Canada. That was my plan, or at least one of my plans. And I never thought of a place to actually put poetry. It never occurred to me. So you give me something to think about now. I'll have to consider that. I write books, and I write short novella length adventure stories, and the newsletter is the way that I was trying to get those out there. I have a website, I have merchandise, I have all the books are at Amazon. It's a whole universe that I've created that's fairly important. It's sort of my passion project, and there's reasons behind that. But Substack became way more than I thought it would be once I started. Once I got here, I've been here about probably not just a little bit shorter time than you actually. I probably not quite 2 months yet. And it went from being a place where I could do a newsletter to, I can share and I actually have people that want to, they want to critique my covers. They want to look at what I'm doing. They want to read my serialized short stories. I'm amazed. I'm truly amazed because, like I said, I didn't even know this place existed 2 months ago, and all of a sudden now it's kind of my home. It's kind of where I do everything, and I find myself here more than I find myself pretty much anywhere else anymore. So, what's the current project? You mentioned I believe serializing a 24 chapter novella. Was that did I?
Yeah, I'm too into it, and I'm already intimidated.
Oh no!
Serialized fiction that's a whole different world than fiction, like a contained short fiction, like a 300-word short fiction. Because I actually have to keep track of what's going on. I can't just make something up and hit go and then forget about it.
Yeah, this is true. From somebody who's got 8 books out in the same universe, and they're all within. There's an overarching plot line that runs from 10,000 BC to the future, and there's an actual beginning and an actual end that I've created for all of this that haven't been shown yet. And I literally have cork boards with index cards pinned to the boards to keep track of all the stuff that I'm doing, including my ideas and my next books that I'm going to be writing, and the characters that are involved, all the various planets that I've created. Have to keep track of all of this stuff. So yeah, I know what you're saying, and I don't know what it's like to just write short stuff. I'm fascinated by that. The prompt thing is great.
I think the length is a big thing on Substack. I think a lot of the people who are having trouble. I think length is a big reason why I grew as fast as I did.
Because you're punchy and straight, and
my content's all like 2 minutes read times. Right. You can. There's people in the chat who could read one of my short stories while urinating, and probably finish the short story first.
I cannot claim that. My writing is quite a bit longer. I think again, maybe it's just a different way of looking at it. To me, what I do is actually quite short. I struggle to make sure my books are at least 100 pages, because when you print a paperback on Amazon, if it's not 100 pages, you can't print the spine. They won't let you print text on the spine until it's a certain thickness. And so 100 pages is kind of the cutoff for me, minimum. That's about 20,000 words, give or take, 22,000 words, somewhere in there. And I always think that's a very short novel when I write one that barely clears that. And it would never have occurred to me to write something in the 300 word range as a project. I just would never have thought of doing that.
Do you want to talk about the publishing process?
Oh, for sure.
I think there's a lot of people in here that would find that interesting.
By all means, whatever. I'm trying. I'm having trouble keeping up with what's going on the side here. What would you like to know? I mean, I'm happy to share whatever I can.
What goes into it? What goes into when you self-publish something?
I have done. I actually self-published my first book back in 2006. I owned a bookstore in those days, and I did something called the 3-day novel contest, which is the first time I ever actually finished a novel. I wrote a book in 3 days. I wrote it over the Labor Day weekend. This thing has run out of Canada. It's a worldwide contest. Been running for about 40 years or something. And the idea is you write a book over the Labor Day weekend, you submit it, they judge it, and if you win, they publish it. There's actually a publishing house behind the project. Of course, I didn't win, and I never expected to because it was my first time. But once I'd written the book and I owned the bookstore, I actually had somewhere to sell it. So I actually printed copies in those days through Cafe Press and published it as an ebook on Amazon. And then forgot about it. I made a couple of bucks with it in my bookstore, and then I just kind of forgot about it for years. This project that I'm doing now, I publish strictly through Amazon just because it's easier. I'm thinking of expanding to places like Ingram Spark and doing other things. But for now, ebooks, Kindles on Amazon, and paper books on Amazon, and in most cases, a PDF copy on my website are sort of my three ways I monetize the writing. For me, it's a three-part process. Obviously, writing the book, that's, you have to do that first. I have this vast universe that I'm writing books in. Once the books are written, I write one a month, and once it's written, I go back, I edit it to standard. I have a template that I write out of so that it looks tidy and neat in the paperback cover, in the paperback printing, all the actual the font choices and how you justify it and all that stuff. I've worked all that out, and it's been a laborious process. There are ways of doing it that are probably a lot easier than what I did. And then I send it to a human editor. She does all the editing for, the comma splices and my bad grammar and all the rest of it. She sends it back to me. I make the corrections. And then literally it's I have an account at Amazon. It's upload it to Amazon. Once you've done that, there's a bunch of things you have to do. You have to create a blurb for it. You have to you have to choose who your publisher is. You have to create you are the publisher, so you need a name for that. In my case, I have a business license in Ontario to do that, and that's all very legal. In Canada, you can get your ISBNs for free, so you don't need to pay anybody to get an ISBN number. If you're not in Canada, I understand in the States you have to pay for them, but Amazon does offer them for free. So you can get an ISBN number, which is your book identifier number, at Amazon for free. And then you got to create a cover. That's probably the hardest thing for me, is the cover creation. I'm not an artist, so I started with AI and got a lot of backlash for that on Reddit for my AI. My AI covers, heads exploded all over the place and people hated me. And so now I'm working with a couple of human artists. We're trying to backdate all those AI covers into human art. But you also have to do an actual cover layout. It's not just the front cover. You need the cover, the spine, and the back, so that when it goes around the book, it actually looks like a book, like this. You need everything, right? And you need the spine. And all of that has to be designed as a single file. And that is, for me, is a challenge. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an artist. I've got it down to a template now. I have a pretty good idea. At the beginning, it was a nightmare. It was just the worst part of the process. And that's really about it. Then you fix your pricing for the book, and you hit publish, and then they go through it. Amazon does a bunch of checks on the book for copyright infringements and making sure that all the printing on the covers doesn't cause problems, that sort of thing. The thing that for me, the copyright is a big deal, because my thing is public domain superheroes. This is Captain Marvel, and not Captain Marvel as in the Marvel movie, billion-dollar MCU movie. Captain Marvel is in a Fawcett Comics creation from the 1940s, probably better known to most people out there as Shazam. And what a lot of people don't realize is that character is now public domain, and anybody can write stories about Captain Marvel. Can't use the name necessarily because there's a trademark on it that Marvel owns. But the stories, the characters, you're free to reprint them to a degree. Some of the comics are reprintable, and the character is usable. So I have to be careful about what I use in my projects, but that's, in a nutshell, that's what I do. And I've been talking now for 10 minutes.
That's okay. Is this actually, we got 19 viewers. Max saying that he's never seen a live on Monday night do this well.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. I'm happy to hear it. I've lost track of questions. I cannot read this screen on the side fast.
I haven't seen a question directed at either of us yet. So if someone has a question, I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. I'm looking for questions. I'd love to hear. I'd love to get. This is the one thing I haven't done with my recordings have been the questions live.
We do have Original Worlds in here, who is an artist who does very good artists, and has offered commissions for like book covers and stuff. If
Fantastic.
You're interested in having a contacting different artists,
I think Original Worlds and I think we've connected. To mention, I can't. I've had a couple of people on site. I do have, like I say, I do work with 2 human artists. Because I write a book a month, I find that sometimes it is a little bit too quick for some of the artists to get a. That's why I work with 2, so that there's a bit of I can sort of okay, you do April, you do May kind of thing. But there's a question.
Yeah, are you happy with Amazon? Is the question. Cassandra.
Am I happy with Amazon? There's yes and no. Yes, in that it's simple. It's sort of, it's an all-in-one house. It puts the books on the giant, huge website that everybody in the world uses to buy books. So that's sort of an advantage right off the bat. You're in place. But there's like a billion me's out there. There's a bunch of people out there writing and publishing. So self-published stuff gets kind of lost in the noise on Amazon. But in terms of return for my dollars, I have to go with them because it doesn't cost me anything to use them. And my books sell on Amazon, not as well as I'd like, but they do sell, and it doesn't cost me anything to do that. And they do a pretty decent job. I mean, these are a couple of. This is Human Artist #1. This is just recently. They come out when they actually see if you can see that they actually do a fairly decent job of printing everything. It looks nice and tidy. The artwork comes out nice, and the front covers are the book quality is good. So as a rule, I'm happy with it. I wish that it was a little friendlier at times. And I wish that their advertising was a little cheaper. It's brutally expensive. But yeah, I'm happy. And then I saw that Original Worlds asked about my favorite character. That's a really good
question. On the recording, it won't show the chat, so we should probably. So I'd like to read the question.
Go ahead.
You can if you want. You can read it. I don't care who reads it. But Original Worlds asks PDSH, what character would you say is your favorite, and what character would you love to write for if you legally could?
I have 2 answers for that. Right now, my favorite characters are the Marvel family. My next book is actually called Nevermind, and it's a sequel to Say the Magic Word, which is this one. It actually follows what happens when Freddie Freeman gets powers, as well as Billy Batson. I love the Marvel family. Growing up, I was a fan of the Shazam live action show. So that #1 favorite character. Quite honestly, I find that every month when I'm writing the new book, I tend to fall in love with the character I'm writing with that month. And I say writing with because they're usually telling their own stories. I'm just kind of along for the ride, and I'm like the note taker. I just let the story happen and I just write it down. The character I'd like to work with, I have 2 answers for that too. #1, this whole project is because of Superman. Superman actually will be public domain 2034, and I will be writing a story. I have a story already fully outlined in my head, ready to go. I could write it tomorrow. It's my favorite story of all time. I love it. I've loved it for more than a couple of years now, and I wanted to do something with it, which is why I started this project. So Superman is the one I want to do. The one I wish I could do and I'll never get to do because I'll be long dead by the time they're public domain is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would kill to be able to do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story, and they would wear pants. It's just a thing. I want them to wear pants.
That'd be weird. You'd be wrong.
I design side. There's a place called Hero Forge, which designs tabletop miniatures, and they actually have a turtle shell cut version that you can customize. And I designed 4 of them with pants. I color coded them with pants without the masks. In my version, they don't wear the masks because I don't get why the only 4 sentient turtles on the planet would need masks. The color coding to me is part of their outfits. That's how I did them. And they look great. They look fantastic. I'll post the pictures on my Substack when I get a chance. I have pictures of the miniatures. I haven't made them yet, but I have the blocks that I made.
And then Nora B asks, do you work with any indie animations?
Oh, I would love to. I have I've experimented again. We're back to AI just for fun. I've run some of my various cover art and stuff through Grok, and gotten out these amazing 6-second videos that Grok was doing for free up until very recently. I didn't know it existed until I hired a guy to do some Facebook work for me, and he actually made a bunch of videos, and I was like, "What is this? Where is this coming from?" Would I like to work with it? Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. I would love to take any one of my stories, the Spy Smasher story, Operation Paperclip, which is on my my Substack, and it's fully out there, 5 chapters long, would make a fantastic 20-minute animated short. I just don't, I don't know how, and I don't have the money. And this is sort of where I'm at, and this is why the books are my in for this, because it's the only thing I can do that I don't have to spend a ton of money to do. I can actually write stuff out of my head, basically for free, except for the money I have to pay for the art and the editing. So that's where I started, because that's the one thing that I think I do well, and I'm love to get more into it, but I'd also love to do some animation. So if there's animation guys out there, DM me. I got stories for days. I could do scripting for you. I'm all over it.
And Mac Devlin asks, do you do comics?
Again, this is where I come out of. As you can see, these are real comics on the wall. This is my kitchen. That's actually an epoxy thing that I created. The whole kitchen is like this, including the floor. It's about 800 comics that I've cut the covers off of and made this out of. Comics, huge in the 90s, and I would love to do some. I'm actually working with James Liu. I'm gonna pronounce his name so wrong. James Liu. He's
wondered.
That I asked him about how to pronounce it, and I probably mangled it because I'm terrible at this stuff. But as I understand it, it's what's called the diphthong, and it's supposed to sound kind of like a question at the end. So I'm trying. James, if I mispronounced it, I'm sorry. But yeah, James is actually doing some amazing pencils on a project we're working on together that pairs up Sherlock Holmes and Tarzan on an adventure that starts in Africa and ends in Borneo. And I'm not going to say too much more than that, because there's a lot going on, but it actually is part of public domain superheroes. It's actually part of my universe. It's actually canon to the universe. The story will actually be part of what I'm trying to accomplish with public domain. So yes, I do comics, and I would like to do more. I would love to do more. So LOU, James Liu, LOU. He's at, that's the one. There he is at the bottom. There you go. I would love to do more comics. Comics are amazing, and it's a whole different kind of storytelling, and I love it because I don't have to write as much. It's more, here's what happens, and I can describe it to the artist, and we can work together on putting together things, and then I can just write a few dialogue pieces, and it's done. It's fantastic. I love it.
Cool. Do you find the biggest constraint on your publishing your books is the art? Is that like what holds you back the most from publishing more?
It is the art? Is that what the question is?
Is the art the biggest constraint on your publications?
I wouldn't say it's exactly a constraint, but it is a problem. Because I don't draw. I mean, I do draw. I draw and I paint, but God, I draw so I'm very slow, and I'm not nearly as talented as the people I've been contracting with. That's the reason why I started with AI covers. Was I didn't realize there was any kind of controversy with using AI. I was new to it. I had no idea about any of the backstory with it, or any of the power usage, or the moral stuff. None of that. So I just used it because it was free and it was cool. And it made life very easy because I could actually generate pretty much what I had in my head as a cover, slap some text on it, and boom, my cover is done. And it was easy. Trying to do it with a human artist is a little bit more complicated and a little bit obviously more expensive and slower. But that's okay, because like I say, I work fast. I write a book a month. And I'm happy to work with a couple of different artists and kind of go back and forth. The other constraint is I try to use chapter art Initially I used AI for this. I just generated, images that had something to do with what was going on in the chapter, just for some like the 70s novels, the Conan novels I grew up with had these little pencil drawings every sort of random 20 pages or something. I was trying to recreate that kind of a feel. I've been doing that ever since, but it's becoming really difficult, and I think I might have to drop it just because it's time-wise, it's very difficult to get all that art together and put it all together in a book every month. It's a lot.
Mac Devlin asks, is Mighty Mouse public domain? I believe Mighty Mouse is like 10 more years.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I can definitely look. I have one of the things I don't do with public domain superheroes is I don't use any of the funny comics, funny cartoon characters. No Bugs Bunny, no Popeye, no. I don't use. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I love them. They just don't fit with what I'm doing. So I haven't really done any research. I'm afraid I can't answer the Mighty Mouse character. That's really a fairly simple Google, though. That's a pretty quick one. You can find that out pretty quick.
Yeah, I just Googled it. 2038.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
For Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse. I remember watching that when I was a kid.
Now, would I do a short story or something with Mighty Mouse? Absolutely, 100%. But it wouldn't be part of public domain superheroes. It just wouldn't fit. The closest I get to the funny books, sort of Popeye kind of thing, is I do have plans for Archie. I have plans to use Archie, Veronica, Jughead, Reggie, Moose, all those characters. They come public domain in 2036 to 2037.
Underdog.
Underdog. Love Underdog.
Wow, yeah.
Love Underdog. I absolutely love Underdog. That's fantastic. That's a deep cut.
When did that start? That's got to be 25 years.
More than that. That was when I was in my childhood. That was in the.
So that's probably coming up too then.
Yeah. Underdog.
What is it for public domain? Is it 80 years?
Ooh, not sure. Underdog is from my childhood. I actually have a comic book on my floor somewhere here. That's an Underdog cover. And there was a live action movie about 20 years ago, give or take. But yeah, the cartoon and the comic book are easily 1970s, maybe earlier.
Do you want to show us some of what they look like cups? You got some Looney Tunes cups up there?
Yeah, this is these are collected from the mid '90s. This is I believe it was Kentucky Fried Chicken was giving these away, and I was on the road with a band, and I got the Taz cup right there, and I got the Tweety cup. And you can't really tell, but that one right there by my thumb, that's Wile E. Coyote. He's got a great big long nose. I had those three, and they were in a box. They traveled with me for 25 years. Then when I did this kitchen, I was doing some other stuff, and I stumbled across this box, and being the obsessive I am, I actually went out and I collected the whole collection, which is what's up there now.
Is that a foghorn leghorn next to that?
Yeah, there's a foghorn leghorn. It was only in Australia. It's the same collection, but it was never here and there's also a Roadrunner, same thing. I got them from Australia. And
cool.
the Disney ones over here, same thing. They were also I don't believe they were ever in North America. If they were, I never saw them.
Did you have to go to Australia to get them?
No, I went to eBay to get them.
Oh, okay.
That's as far as I was going. Australia was a bit far for me to travel to get a couple of cups.
I thought maybe you made
That's a Batman model that I did. That's an Invisible Man model from Mobius Models. It's amazing. And there's a bunch of stuff, hanging cups, all kinds of fun stuff in my kitchen. That's just in my kitchen. The whole house is like this. If you look up, I'm gonna move the camera, so try not, if you get seasick, close your eyes. Up there is more models. There's a Wonder Woman, a Superboy, and a Spock, and then over on that far side there's a Captain America model. A few different things. I am a big geek.
I assume those are all corporate characters. So I'm going to assume they're all the longer copyright, because Max says 95 to 100 years for corporate and 70 and up for general. It
actually varies by country. In Canada, it's 70 years after the death of the author. In terms of corporate owned stuff, if there's no author creator, it's a little bit more complicated. But because I publish through Amazon, I go with the American rule, which is 95 years from publication date. Or if the character was created or the work was created before 1977, it needed to be renewed 28 years after creation, or it would go automatically to public domain. So this is why things like Captain Marvel is public domain, because it was created in 1940. Fawcett Comics went out of business, and a lot of the stuff didn't get properly renewed. So Captain Marvel, Spy Smasher, Captain Midnight, a bunch of their characters fell into the public domain because they weren't properly renewed before DC Comics picked them up. But of course, DC Comics isn't going to make they're not going to go out and say, oh, we spent all this money on these characters, but anybody can use them. They're not going to say that. And they own trademarks on them. So you can't just sell something that says, well, Captain Marvel's a bit of a weird case because the trademark is actually Marvel Comics that owns it. You'll notice it says, say the magic word is the title. It says Captain Marvel Begins. That's in the subtitle. There's a whole legal thing called nominative fair use. Very complicated. Believe me, I've done a ton of research on this. I skate very close to the line, but everything I do is legal, and Amazon has so far not given me any hard time about it. So far, so good. Were there any other questions? I missed all the. I cannot do this. Keep up with what's going on this side. Hello to everybody who's joined. If I haven't said hello, I apologize. I can't read all that and talk at the same time.
I haven't seen another question for you.
Fair enough.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Oh no, I've been talking for 10 minutes here. What about you, Stefan? Like what else do you do? I mean, you do podcasts every week, right? So you are
we talk to people every week. Becky and I, she's actually one of my co-hosts is in the chat. We don't count Hovey because he never shows up anyways. So really, it's the Becky and I show.
Okay. And that's just a standard part of your Substack week. Is just you do the live chats every couple of days or
every Wednesday. Sometimes we do it on Saturday if people can't make the Wednesday one. This Wednesday we're gonna do it at night because of scheduling conflicts. We can do some scheduling. 1 second. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I see Dr. Jessro.
Is he? Okay, I'm gonna put, that's PDSH's PDSH newsletters page.
The fair use is a different thing. It's similar but different. You can do
and that's mine.
Critiques and that sort of thing, and you can use the names legally in those sorts of things. You can do parody is also fair use. What I'm doing is none of that. What I'm doing is actually using public domain characters strictly. So the only legality I have to skate with is the trademark issue on some of these characters, because the trademarks are owned by different companies in some cases. In some cases, there's no trademark. In some cases, there are characters out there like Spy Smasher, which is a character created by Fawcett. DC Comics has used them sporadically over the years. They bought what they call the right. You'll see this commonly used. They bought the rights. What that means is they just paid for the ability not to be. They paid for the copyrights. But in the case of Spy Smasher, it was already in the public domain. So all they bought was sort of the legitimacy to use the character by buying the rights from Fawcett. The Spy Smasher character, I put his name on a cover on Substack. I've got Spy Smasher Operation Paperclip, and it's not fair use. It's just he's an untrademarked character, and so I'm using him.
Cool.
Yeah, you're right. Mac Devlin is right. Fair use is more limited, and it's very narrow. You have to be very careful with it.
It's all like based on the judge you get. You can get one judge that is kind of kind to you, and you can get another that's not really kind to you.
I'm really ideally trying to stay out of anything like a court case or anything like that. On the flip side, if I was to get a cease and desist, it's not a huge issue for me to swap out a character name and make enough changes to satisfy legality. and a cease and desist would go all up over my Substack and all over my webpage as to like look at what the big guy's trying to do to the little guy. But again, I'm trying to avoid all that. This is why, like for instance, Dick Tracy, who I don't have any particular plans to use, but Dick Tracy becomes public domain this January coming. There are some sketchy reports that some of the very early Dick Tracy comic strips never were renewed properly. So the sort of internet consensus is that you could use Dick Tracy legally. Personally, if I was going to use Dick Tracy at this point, I would just wait till January, because I see no reason to push that envelope for a few months or even a year. Like Conan is another one. Conan the Barbarian. In Canada, he's public domain. He's been public domain for years because it's author death plus 70 years. And Robert E. Howard died in 1939. Or 1936, actually. So he's public domain, but in the United States, it's 95 years after first publication. So 2028 is when Conan the Barbarian really becomes public domain. I've got all kinds of ideas for using Conan in my universe, but I'm not going to put them out there until 2028 just because I don't need the hassle. John Carter's coming. Mac Devlin, John Carter is coming. I've actually already written a John Carter story. It will be serialized on Substack. It's called the Mongo Machine. And yes, Mongo is what you think it is. I've actually written the Mongo Machine is the short story. It involves John Carter of Mars, Buck Rogers, and a character named Crash Corrigan from a 1936 serial called Undersea Kingdom, which is live on my YouTube site, by the way.
You said we needed 5 people, right? So we passed the bar today. That's what he told me when we were DMing beforehand. He's like, we only do a live if you can get me 5 people.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting 26. I really wasn't. That's fantastic. Yes, Flash Gordon Mongo, you're exactly right. But I can't use Flash Gordon until 2028, I believe. I might even be 2029. But the word Mongo is a legitimate, real word. It's actually a slang term for people from the Mongol Empire. I looked this up. I researched this. It's actually a legit word, so I can use it. And my empire of Mongo is not the planet of Mongo. It's actually the Mongo is the name of their house, and it's a galaxy-spanning empire. So it's not the same. I've never named the emperor, so he's again another copyright character that I can't use yet. But the concept of a galaxy-spanning empire called the Empire of Mongo, there's no copyright on that, and I'm using it, and that's where I'm at.
Mac did ask if you're in the U.S. I believe you're in Canada.
Yes, I'm in Canada, but because I publish on Amazon, I run by the U.S. rules. I could actually, because I'm in Canada, if I could figure out a way to gatekeep it and only publish the books and only physically print them in Canada, I could do a number of characters that I can't do yet because of the way the rules work. But because it's all based in the States, I run by the United States rules. I use them exclusively.
And then James asked, what do I know about this? What do you know about this? Any of this, Stefan? I don't know anything about this. I don't write with copyrighted characters. I just kind of do whatever I want. Let's be honest.
Nothing wrong with that.
I've never run into any of this. None of this has ever applied to anything I've been doing.
The James, just so you know, I've already mentioned the comic book and the plan, so you're in here now. You're on the record. Mac Devlin was asking about the John Carter character. He's actually on my schedule. I have another friend who's dying for the John Carter story. I actually plan, just for a little not quite spoiler, there are other famous Martians. H.G. Wells wrote the War of the Worlds and had some amazing Martians in his stories. Those have actually already appeared on Earth in this book. And spoiler alert, they're going to appear in the John Carter story as well. My whole point of doing what I'm doing is to take all of these characters from all of these diverse sources and have them exist in a single timeline, in a single reality, as a single history. And so John Carter of Mars will meet the Tripod Martians from H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, and a whole bunch of other stuff. James says not to get him to jump in live. We already had this conversation. James doesn't want to do the video thing, and I respect that. That's cool. But he's a great artist, and I'm having a blast.
It's like I can add somebody if they want to come in.
I would be happy to. I'd love to meet any of you. I don't know most of these names that I've seen popping by here. I've seen some that I recognize.
I know all of them except Dr. Jesnel is new to me.
New to me too, I think. I although, you know, who knows? Once I passed about 20 subscriptions, I started losing track of names. I apologize to anybody I'm missing.
Hi, Rita. Yeah, he do. I don't know any of this. This is above my pay grade here.
Go for it. Whatever. I would love to answer the questions. I mean, and I'm sure Stefan would too. I think this is the most fun I've had. I know I was kind of in a grumpy mood.
Yeah, you were grumpy about being alive. I was like, why?
I was, I really was, because it threw me off. It changed my routine, which, you know, I had.
Well, let's record in quiet. I don't want to record in quiet. I want to see people's beautiful faces, and they scroll bar to the left. So, what do you like to read on Substack? Do you read on Substack?
I read. I love to read a bunch of different stuff. There's Michael Chambers has a great Sherlock Holmes thing that he's doing, and my very very favorite, and this is not a slight to anybody else's wonderful work out there, but right now my very favorite thing is Luke Goodwin doing Mutant Battle Bees, which is if you're not familiar, he does these. It's so far 4 chapters. Each is intended to be a 22-minute cartoon, but they're obviously prose. And what the conceit is that he's created Mutant Battle Bees as a toy that he's created, and he's writing the stories around the toys rather than the reverse of creating toys out of the cartoon or the stories or whatever. And he's writing it as if the toys were created in the 90s in the same time frame as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and He-Man and all that other stuff, with the wonderful commercials that my generation grew up with on Saturday morning cartoons, where kids would be playing with the toys and they would intercut cartoons into the commercials. He's created a bunch of these, and they are amazing. And he's also got a bunch of product placement stuff like honey flavored Pepsi and just a bunch of wonderful stuff, bee themed things. It's kind of like I call him a one-man Mandela effect, because if you watch enough of these, you start wondering if you are misremembering and maybe they actually existed in the 90s. They're that good.
Bye, Original Worlds.
So who else have we got? Have we missed any more questions?
I don't believe so. I believe we've got them all.
Excellent. So this 24 chapter novella you're working on, what's it about? We lost that thread. We dropped that thread a while back, and I wanted to know. Talking about me.
I'm a big fan of like old Gothic horror.
Ooh, okay.
Like Wuthering Heights, Dracula.
Nice.
Like that. So I'm doing a dark romanticism where I alternate between the male and the female point of view.
Okay.
And it is a tragedy. But I'm 2 chapters in. I've done 1 of each, and it does well. It's 2 of my top 10 posts engagement wise, so it seems to be doing well. But if you ever read like old Gothic horror, it is a very specific style, I think.
I grew up reading. My transition from my first chapter books as a kid, which were the Hardy Boys, was to Philip A. Whitney, who wrote a bunch of Gothic mysteries for kids, and that was my entry to that. And then I graduated to Swords and Sorcery. I skipped over pretty much everything else and went straight to Thongor and Conan and Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser and a bunch of other and then discovered Dungeons and Dragons, which was a whole other thing.
That's a rabbit hole. James asks, who hates the narrators? The answer is Mac. If you read Mac's stuff, every one of his stories has a vendetta against the narrator.
Okay.
Yeah, that's tabletop role-playing games is a whole rabbit hole that you can just lose an entire decade to.
I actually went from gaming in my teens to painting the miniatures. That's why I paint models and build models and stuff, because they're sort of large scale versions of my miniature painting. I built chess sets. They're actually on my Substack too. I've forgotten about that. But yeah, I don't game, haven't gamed in years, but I still do the miniature and the model painting thanks to that.
Laura asks, do you watch any of the animes for Critical Role?
Vox Machina is amazing. Love that show. I wasn't as big on Mighty Nine. It was good, but I like Vox Machina better personally. Vox Machina is a spectacular sort of my tagline for my universe. One of them is what Saturday morning cartoons wanted to be when they grew up. Vox Machina is literally what D&D wanted to be when it grew up. It's fantastic. It really is. Love that show. I actually what's her name? Ashley. Oh, I can't think of her name. She was on Family Ties, I think, as a child actor. Can't remember her name. She's the one I picked for. There's a series of books by a guy named Andy McDermott, who writes a series of books that are something like Indiana Jones meets James Bond, and his main character is Nina Wilde. And her boyfriend and eventual husband is Eddie Chase. So they're the Wild Chases. That's actually there's 17 books. One of my favorite novel series just for straight up adventure. And she's the one I would pick to play Nina Wilde. I can't think of her name. Ashley Benson, I think. Is that her name? I'm not sure. But she's a voice on Vox Machina. She plays the cleric. And she's the person that I would love to see play Nina Wilde because she's perfect for it. She's just nerdy enough. What else have we not covered? What else are you? I mean, okay, so you've got the okay, the short stories that you started with, the 300-page prompt stuff. What kind of things are people getting you to write? I'm very curious.
Oh, I've had some guys HVR prompted me to write a story about a person having a bathroom accident on a plane with no bathrooms, where the bathrooms were closed. Like, I've had some wild prompts. And they don't really work out. I had one that required a rubber ducky and the word unseen. But they do all sorts of weird ones. Some of them require things. One of them required a very specific, like, 9-word first line.
Okay.
Most of them are pretty easy. If they give you just 3 words, unless those words are slang, it's not too hard. But like the premise ones, like I had one about a rock star jumping off of the stage to perform an exorcism on a member of the crowd. Like, that gets pretty specific. There's not much I can do with it. So that story did well though, so it was fine.
The first line thing is I mentioned the 3-day novel contest. I've done this 4 times now. I've actually written a trilogy. But between books 2 and 3 of that trilogy, I did a third at the time. And I ended up doing a mystery novel because I had this amazing first line pop into my head. And thinking about the poor people that have to judge this 3-day novel contest, they've got to read however many entries each to decide on who's going to win the contest. And I thought, man, they got to read, even if they only have 10 books apiece, that's 10 30,000 word books over however long. It's a lot of reading. So yeah. My thinking was, if I'm a judge in their shoes, if it's not hooking me by the end of page 1, see ya, I'm done, because it's gotta be hooky, right?
When I'm reading on Substack, if I'm bored after the first 3 sentences, I don't finish the piece.
Yeah, and that's
I generally don't go back to an author if I
really wow. The piece. I have to keep that in mind.
I don't have time. I wake up to my DMs with 7 or 8 people just DMing me things they want me to read. It's like I don't have time to read them all, even if I wanted to. So I can't read. I'm not going to read bad stuff anymore. I stopped reading bad stuff about 100 subscribers ago.
Fair enough. That's fair. We actually, James and I were having this exact conversation about, subscribing to a bunch of people, which, hey, that's what we're all here to do and enjoy each other's work and the rest of it. But how much can you legitimately read? How much can you truly enjoy of however many people you're subscribed to?
You don't actually have to read it all. Yeah. You just have to appear that you're going to maybe read it someday.
I like to think that I at least try to scan all the stuff that shows up in my inbox.
God.
I don't like get time to read it all.
I get about 180 emails a day.
Oof. Not
yeah, I don't even scan them. I just delete them. James asked me, I'm serializing a novella by chapter as I write. That's correct. I am a single chapter ahead, but I am writing them. I write each chapter after the last chapter is released. Then he asks, I wonder how many writers actually post the first chapter once the last chapter has been completed. On Substack, I'm going to guess none that don't use AI except maybe this guy here.
Everything I write, if you're picking up one of my serialized stories, I'm not putting it on until long after. I actually have 5 7,000 to 12,000 word short stories banked ahead. I'm actually like way ahead of what I'm serializing on Substack, and I just finished.
Hi, Laura.
I've just finished one last week. I'm waiting for it to come back from my editor. The one I'm doing now is only number 2 of the 5 that I already have done, and I only put them out if they're done. I can't deal with the pressure of trying to catch up to my Substack. No way. I write a book a month, and I also write a short story a month to go along with that. And that short story goes up free on my website for that month. Then I pull it down, and eventually it gets serialized on Substack, one chapter at a time.
What? How much have you read? How many different authors have you read?
Have I read?
Yeah,
on Substack. On Substack.
On Substack.
Oh, wow. Let's see.
Is it like just general, like triple digits? Are we talking?
I wouldn't say I've hit triple digits yet. I've scanned that many, but actually read their stuff. I'd say I'm still in the double digits, somewhere mid-50s probably.
How would you describe the writing quality on average?
It's actually superior. The other thing I do is over on Reddit, there's a sub called Canadian Authors, and I'm committed there to buying an indie book a month. Well, that's where I started. I didn't know stuff. I started there. It's so hateful over there sometimes. But the Canadian Authors sub is very friendly and very supportive. And I'm committed over there to buying an indie book every month and reviewing it on Amazon. The quality on Substack is easily on par with that, and in some cases quite superior. It depends. The one thing that what I notice indie authors have a hell of a time with is formatting in paperback. Lots of problems. Books that I bought that when I open them up, I can't believe how bad they look and how hard they are to read. When a book is poorly formatted, like if you don't have nice tidy lines like this, it's hard to see because it's washed out because of the light. There we go. See how that ends up justified on the side there like that? If it's not like that, if your text ends up all jagged like the way we write on Substack, in a book, it's hard to read, I find personally. I've had authors where I've opened their books and the last page of their chapter is floating free in the middle of the final page. It's just kind of there, not at the top, not at the bottom, just kind of in the middle. I've seen all kinds of formatting issues that for paperback are just horrendous to read. It can be a great, fantastic piece of writing, but if it's badly formatted, it's like being asked to go on a walk in the woods and finding out that the path is all uphill and covered in ice. It's really hard to get through it. But the writing on Substack, yes, I'm just another writer on Substack, so it's only my opinion. But yeah, I've seen some fantastic stuff. I've read some stuff that I'm amazed by actually, and I love that I discovered this place 2 months ago, and I'm still discovering new stuff every day. So yeah, it's wonderful.
Max says he has a spreadsheet. I assume it's a spreadsheet of people you read. Mac.
It's just a spreadsheet.
He'll get back to us at some
point. It's just a spreadsheet.
I have that's what I have. I have a list of people I read, and then I read a few people on top of that. I also have a list of people I don't read. I won't read.
Okay. I have my block button. I don't know about you, but my feed about every 3 or 4 days, my feed goes weird, and all of a sudden I get a bunch of stuff I don't want, and I'm sitting there blocking and muting, blocking and muting. It's painful.
I don't block as much as I mute. I mute a lot of people. I probably have a couple hundred people on my mute list, just because if they say something I find kind of offensive in notes, I'll mute them. But I don't block them because then they can't subscribe to me.
I'm for me, I'm here to do fiction and to enjoy other people's fiction. If you lead with politics in the notes, I generally mute you automatically. It's just I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. I'm not interested. I'm not here for that. And that's just one of my things. Anybody offensive, I block. That's just me. I don't have time for that. But as I try to enjoy what's out there. I also same with the Canadian subs thing that I was talking about. I try to read things that are outside of my comfort zone. If I had my choices, I would live in the swords and sorcery, comic book, superhero, fantasy, science fiction part of the library, and I'd never leave. But I'm trying to get out of that. I'm trying to read a little bit broader than that, because that's there's more out there than what I've been reading.
Rita says she discovered Substack in January.
Yeah, I'm February 2nd, actually, was when I started.
Boy, this is like everybody is new to Substack. Where did all the old people? Where did all the old Substackers go?
I read somewhere that there were still 40,000 active accounts from the original Substack from 2017 or whatever it was when it started. So that was pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, they're probably all those big ones that are making $7,000 a month.
Oh, hello! Sign me up. Sign me up. I come here to share. I'm trying to make a living out of this. I'm really trying very hard to turn this into my full-time gig, because this is what I want to do with my life. I've been trying to do this ever since I was a kid. I wanted to write, and it's hard. It's tough to make a living at it. It's a very difficult thing to do. But Substack is the one place I've seen where there's actually people out there who understand how difficult it is and are willing to support that. It's even in my own friends and family circle, it's a lot less supportive. So thank you, Substack. Love you.
I live in a rural part of Minnesota.
Okay.
Where I think the average income here is like, I don't know, just over 30,000 a year for a family. So for me to do this full time, I would need like $400 or $500 a month, because my bills are so low. But I understand most people aren't in the position I'm in.
I'm in a fortunate position too. I'm in a small town in Canada where I own my own house, and I don't have so my expenses are, comparatively speaking, to most people in my age group, are pretty minimal. But that said, I still have expenses, and my rating is not covering it, unfortunately. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm doing everything I can to get there. And again, if I could reach that plateau of my writing pace for my life, and I never went higher than that, I would be perfectly happy to do that for the rest of my life and write you a book a month, no sweat. It's my favorite thing to do. I love doing it, and it's a blast. Somebody asked about the book a month. I started, as I mentioned earlier, you probably weren't in the chat yet, my very first novel. I ever finished it in 3 days for the 3-day novel contest in Canada. I write fast. I write adventure, and the adventures are fast and pulpy and punchy. And that's the kind of stuff I write. About 20 to 25,000 words per book on average every month, give or take. And with the short story added, the books end up being about 120 pages, give or take. They're big enough. Again, the big thing with Amazon is if it's not 100 pages, you can't print that spine. And I despise whenever I buy a book and there's nothing printed on the spine. It makes me crazy because it looks like a magazine, and I want the spine to be printed. I want to publish a book and not a magazine.
Do you have any pet peeves that you see from people on Substack?
I can't say they're pet peeves. I don't like the whole everything revolves around how many subscribers you have. I get it. I like my subscribers. I want them. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying subscribe, but for me, I'm more interested in having people read what I write, and whether that's just the short story stuff that I put on Substack, and that's all they ever read. That's fine. If I would really love them to read the novels, I put them in my what I call my members library behind the paywall. It's $5 a month. You get right now there's 2 full novels in there, and when those every month at the beginning of the month I add a new one. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them all in there long term, but there's always at least right now there's at least 2 books in there, full length novels, 3 coming up on April 1st. My pet peeves are not making enough money to do this. It's killing me. I just want. I don't want to go back to work. I just want to do this.
Now that Mac's back, Mac, is your spreadsheet a list of people you read? I really want to know if I'm the only one. Do you have any? While we wait for Mac.
He's just laughing. He doesn't want to tell you what his spreadsheet is. He's
he doesn't.
laughing.
Well, I do, and I.
Oh.
Okay.
The spreadsheet is what I don't read.
No, he reads it. He just puts some stuff. He has like a reading list on the spreadsheet.
Okay. Yeah.
I use a browser add-on to keep my reading list. But I do have a spreadsheet where I keep authors, like links to the thing, because I find my feed never shows me the people I want it to show.
I guess maybe I don't have enough subscribers to have that problem. I recognize most of the names of my feed most days. I
recognize most of them, but I don't want to read. Just because you're subscribed to me doesn't mean I want to read what you're writing.
No, fair enough. I try, like I said, I try to read at least a couple a day just to keep up and
legal pads. Well, I don't even know if I own a legal pad. Do I even own a pencil? I don't even know if I own a pencil.
I had to go out and buy Sharpies because I literally have a cork board. People ask if it's real because I keep mentioning when I'm talking on Substack on my videos. I do have an actual cork board, a real one, where I literally put pins and index cards. And I haven't done the yarn between them yet, but it's coming because it's so big and so vast that I'm at the point where if I want to keep track of everything, I'm going to have to. But yeah, I had to go out and buy Sharpies because I couldn't find a marker to write with. I don't have a marker in that.
Oh boy,
James, it was great having you. And again, we talked about the comic book, so it's been mentioned now on a couple of different ones. So you need to get going. We need more stuff. We got to put it out there.
He needs to come talk to Becky and I in August, apparently. Maybe even September now. It's good to September.
Mac only writes on his hands. Well,
I've seen that.
Is there anything else you wanted to ask me before we've been on here an hour already? Holy cats!
Well, that's a great time. You gotta embrace the live. I've shown you the light.
I'll keep it under consideration. The questions are wonderful, but I can't get up to get a cup of tea.
No, you can't. Well, you could, but it'd be a little awkward. We'd see you. We'd watch you the whole time.
Empty space while I'm gone. Oh, look, wow. For your first his first doctorate. Wow. Okay.
First doctorate.
Wow. I shudder to think.
Bye, Mac. Do you have anything else that you're feeling chatty about tonight?
I've covered a lot of things. The biggest thing, obviously, is to promote my universe. That's part of why I do these, but also to take questions about it. Coming soon, just in the next week or so, will be my next book, Nevermind, and It's ready to go. It's just waiting for the editor to send it back to me so I can do some corrections and upload it to Amazon. It'll be live right now. There's 7 books live. Book coming every month. Free short story, free to read at publicdomainsuperheroes.com. And if that's too much for you to remember, PDSH.ca is the easier one to remember. They all go to the same place. PDSH.ca.
This will be up on your channel. You should get a copy to upload.
Yep.
On your channel, just because I know that's what you put most of these anyway. We put these anyways. So.
Oh yeah, Dr. Jensen said he did his doctorates in his retirement. That's impressive, my man. That is it, or well, is it? It could be a lady. I don't know. It's just a doctor. It doesn't tell me.
Yeah, it's just Dr. Jensen.
I don't know. It's an impressive feat. Either way, it's an impressive feat. If you've done your doctorate plural in your retirement, that's impressive.
Well,
you got number 6. Holy cats! Good grief.
What?
The Dr. Jesnell is working on doctorate number 6. That's crazy.
That is a lot of doctorates.
That's amazing.
That means you have to say doctor 6 times before you say the name.
Dr. Jesnell. But that.
Yeah. See if there's anything else from the chat.
Yeah, are there any other questions before we wrap it up? Because I'm happy to answer any more. Love to talk about my stuff. I'm more than happy to. Anytime it comes up in conversation, I pity the person on the other end of that conversation because I'm going to go on.
One of my great pleasures, and the reason I said the podcast was to listen to people talk.
Well, I was having this conversation with another person on Substack. I'm going to pronounce their name incorrectly, so I'm not going to try. We were talking about talking on the phone versus texting, and I'm a phone guy. They're a text person, and they said they prefer texting because they don't like the way they speak, and they don't like their voice, and they don't like talking. I'm the other way around. I got to learn to shut up every once in a while. It's always a matter of trying to rein it in.
I hate talking on the phone. Talking on the phone's the worst. My wife's like, "I'll just call you," and it's like, "No, please, just text. I don't need you to yak my ear off for 40 minutes to tell me that the car is making a weird sound. I don't need that right now. Just text me. Text me a picture if you need to."
Well, we're not seeing a lot of questions or anything else coming up. But if you do have if anything occurs to you, by all means, DM me. And if you want to do one of these with me, I would be more than happy to join or have you join me, vice versa, whatever. And
so you're going to do it live again?
Oh, I don't. I reserve judgment. It's fun in the moment. It was stressful getting going.
It was only stressful because I had a minor technical issue that required a reset.
I found it stressful getting organized for a live. I kept looking at the clock going, "Oh my God, they're going to be late."
Well, that's cool. I think you should do lives. I think you'll be converted as soon as you see how many subscribers you gained.
Well, maybe. If
I gained 2, you had to have gained at least 1.
Well, we'll see. I suppose I never even thought of it as something that I would gain subscribers from. I do it just because I enjoy it. It's as I say, talking about this project is a passion. And it's not just the writing. I also do merch. I'm looking at my calendar that I made with Public Domain comics from the and I love. I mean, I'm wearing my Spy Smasher T-shirt that I made. I'm waiting on my tablecloth for my first book signing. I've got a custom tablecloth coming. I've got my bookmarks that I had made, and. You could scan the bookmarks to go to I had those made. I've got custom bags. I love doing it. It's just all of this stuff is so much fun for me. It's such a blast, and getting the art done, all of that stuff. It's just some of it is difficult, some of it is time consuming, some of it is unfortunately expensive, but it is a fun project, and I'd like to think the reading is fun too. I really hope that anybody who pick up one of my books. If you're not sure where to jump in, this is the book to jump in with. This is The Rock of Eternity, the Challenger Papers. my stuff is not in any kind of chronological order. You can read it any which way you want. They vary in time. Some of them are 10,000 years ago. Some of them are happening tomorrow. Some of them are happening in World War II, World War One, 17th century Russia. You name it. They happen in the same universe, and there is an overarching plot line that ties it all together. And there are Easter eggs throughout all of my books about that. This one has the most sort of entry-level information. It's the one you want to start with if you're looking to just kind of figure out what's going on and how it all works. So that's my last plug. That's at my Amazon site at amazon.com/author/James.Richardson.
Nope, none of your names up there. Well,
I don't mind that. I'm perfectly. No, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Well,
it's on the books. It's kind of hard to miss.
Well, a lot of people write under pen names for that reason. I actually made my email under a pen name, so my email gives the wrong name.
Oh, really? Okay. I considered that, but honestly,
but then my Substack name's my real name, so I don't. You just do whatever you want.
I write under my real name, and the books are James L. Richardson. And, on top of everything else, even if I was to write under a pen name, which would be Gray Bishop, which is my handle that I've used for years and years and years and years online, there are enough people who know who Gray Bishop is. And I used to own a store in my hometown. So people could find me if they really wanted to. I'm out there, and I'm happy to be out there.
Cool. Well, it was fun.
Yes, it definitely was. And, we'll have to do it again when we have some more to talk about. When we have some new projects to catch up on.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't have the format I write in doesn't lend itself to long-term projects.
No, that's all right. Well, once you've built up enough to go back over, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll come back. We can hang out again sometime. I'm gonna make you come. I'm gonna make you come to me the next time, though.
Oh, okay.
Sometime in September, October, we'll have you on the one on Wednesday.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. I'll be here.
And then we'll grill you on all the little, like the tattoo on the side of your head. I've been looking at it all night. What is it of?
It's an eye. It's actually it's long faded, but it's the skin is cut and opened, and there's somebody looking out of my head, and there's a whole lot of things going on up there. That's what that's all
about. But thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm not sure who had who because you started the live, so we kind of back and forth it a little bit.
Well, when you set the bar at 5 people, I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't know how many subscribers you had. So if you had like 30, I'm like, he's not going to hit 5. But you would have had 500, and then you'd have had a bunch. But you never know.
It was a matter of like I say, I like the recording studio just because it's a little bit looser on terms of time. I don't have to worry about time. And if there is a technical issue like what you experienced at the very beginning there, no sweat. We just, reset, start again, off we go. And it also, in our no issues here at all, but I always worry that when I'm meeting somebody new for the first time, there might be, they might want to talk about something that I might ask a question that offends them, or there might be some problems with their political or religious bent, whatever the case may be, that might cause some friction. And if that was the case with the recording studio, I get the chance to go, whoop, nope, we're not doing it, and that's the end of it. So that's kind of my safety net with that. That's why I like it.
Boy, you're gonna give me a complex of all the things that could go wrong in these lives.
By the time it's all done, I'll be doing lives, and Stefan will be doing the recording studio because we'll have swapped.
Hopefully, I like the audience too much. The audience question is always the best.
I'm enjoying the audience, and I apologize to those that are watching. I have had a hard time following this here because I'm watching Stefan's face for reactions, and I'm not able to follow along as well with what's going on the live chat side. Stefan, you're much better at that. You followed those much better than I did.
I've had practice. that's all it is. I just had some practice. Done, I don't know, a dozen of these now between the podcast and going on other podcasts.
Do you ever do them solo, or do you always have a guest? Do you always do 2 people minimum?
I've never done them solo. I just don't even know what to talk about. I'm not a very witty guy.
Again,
I feel like you could do them solo. I don't know if I could. A lot of people do.
I did one in my kitchen. I did one here. I actually did one while I was cooking. I
have thought about and maybe I've thought about doing a cooking one, because I have an aversion to things that come out of a jar or can.
Fair.
So I have to make everything from scratch.
Okay, fair.
So I've learned to cook some weird stuff from scratch.
Very cool.
But then I'm always looking at my kitchen thinking, no, I can't show this on I can't show this to anyone.
My next one that I'm going to do solo, because I don't actually bake that many things, so I don't have another cooking thing necessarily lined up that I want to do. But my next one, I've got a flat pack thing on my porch that I've got to put together. So I was thinking I would do a flat pack assembly chat and build my little fridge cart that I bought, so that while I'm talking about my universe.
See, you got all sorts of answers to what you're doing. I just don't know what I do with it solo.
It's solo's challenging because.
Oh, your mic went out. That might be our cue. Technical issue. Oh, now we have to wait. It's just me, Well, maybe it's not. I think it's just me. Every root and every thorn. Hi. I think he's having a technical issue, so that might be our cue. This was PDSH. Oh, this is just me now. That was PDSH newsletter. He writes fiction about superheroes, serial fiction about superheroes. I will give him just a second. I don't know if he can actually rejoin or not. I'll give him just a second. If he doesn't, I'll end it. How is everyone who's still here? You all having a good night? I've never done these solo, so it's gonna be a little awkward for a minute. No? Cool. Okay. I'm going to end this then. Oh. What chapter of what? What are you reading at chapter 2? I have a bunch of dice on my desk. Are you going to publish the chapters on Substack? Excellent. Have you published any yet? I don't know that I have been on your actual page yet. I have been kind of swamped with tags and stuff. Give you a minute. Okay, I don't think he's coming back, so I'll just give it read it a minute. So yeah, I have one speculative fiction posted, but the horror one will come out next month. Cool. Is it going to be released on my birthday? My birthday is the 1st. You should release it on my birthday. Okay. I'm going to end this now. Thanks everybody for coming. It was my first ever one of these where I didn't have a co-host. Okay, that's all I ask. So you post something on my birthday. Thanks for hanging out, everyone.